Ramily. Welcome in to Ramsaholic LA Rams Talk. Today I'm joined by a legend in the Rams content creation community, Sheriff Joe Baggs. Sheriff Joe, welcome.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This is good stuff.
Absolutely. So, let people know where they can find you and your socials.
Yeah, ramshowcase.com. That is the website. Also, Ram Showcase is my podcast. It's available everywhere. iHeart, Spotify, all the stuff, Apple, all that stuff. And then on socials, I'm at Sheriff Joe Bags or at Ram Showcase.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. So yesterday was a crazy game. Started off great and then really got the anxiety going. The Rams end up pulling off an overtime thriller versus the Colts 29-23. What are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, obviously started awesome. That was the perfect way to start, especially Kyron Williams being able to put up more touchdowns. And I think that like the Puka Nacua storyline is kind of overshadowing Kyron a little bit. But so I do want to give Kyron some love out here. But yeah, man, it was one of those things where it almost felt like at any point the Colts were going to kind of turn it on, and then of course they did. So it was really cool to see the fight of the Rams team kind of take the Colts kind of just storming back on them. And Anthony Richardson, man, that kid's going to be good, I think. But it was nice to see that at no point did the Rams really look like they just were giving up or losing fight. So even when the Colts were doing a good job, it was kind of one of those where Rams are still fighting. And so that's what made me have like some confidence, especially going into the overtime period. And once the Rams won the toss, it was like, all right, let's not even mess around with them, man. Let's just go down and score and not let them touch this football again because they were doing a good job, man. Colts are a good team, though. They're young and an unproven team, kind of like us. I feel like they have the same kind of vibe as us right now. But man, that was exciting stuff, man. I'm glad that the Colts made it interesting, and I'm glad the Rams were able to pull out the win.
Yeah, I agree. Anthony Richardson, the Colts should not be upset. They got a really good quarterback because I thought, all right, the kid's fast, but he can't throw. But he was throwing lasers. And I mean, hey, kudos to the Colts on taking him. I know they were rumored to be taking Will Levis, and that doesn't look like it would have panned out quite as well.
Yeah, they made
So,
the right call.
yeah, absolutely. So Puka Nacua, the game winner, his first touchdown of the season, 39 catches this year, 501 yards. What do you think about this hot start in 4 games for Puka?
Dude, it's unbelievable, honestly, man. The way the Puka season is started, 501 already. We are 4 games into the season, man. He's on pace to go over 2K right now, man. It's good stuff, man. It's I mean, the start of Puka Nacua's season is I don't think anything that like even Rams fans who liked Puka coming into the season and were pumped about him this entire time. I don't think we even saw this, man. Like I kind of thought that him coming into the offense is like, all right, well, he's a rookie, he's going to be growing pains and stuff like that. And we've seen some drops and stuff like that from Puka, but that kind of stuff happens. And when you're performing like he is, we can deal with a drop or two here and there. It's not a big deal. But Matthew Stafford, man, he finds a way to get these receivers going. I'm sure you've seen the posts of the two best wide receiver seasons from Calvin Johnson, then Cooper Kupp, and Puka's start is better than both of those. And they all have one thing in common, and that is the quarterback. So it's cool to see that Matthew Stafford is trusting Puka Nacua, and then we also get Cooper Kupp back on top of this man. Like, sorry about your corners, rest of the NFL, man, because they're about to get embarrassed out here, man. This is fun.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, yeah, Puka is on pace for 2,129 yards. That would be an NFL record. As you mentioned, Matthew Stafford was the quarterback for Calvin Johnson during that record, and second is Cooper Kupp, who I think was like 19 yards short of the record. The only issue is with Puka is that guy Cooper Kupp is coming back possibly this week. But since we are on Matthew Stafford, yesterday it looked really horrible watching him out there in that fourth quarter, like hobbling every possession. And I mean, he's on the sidelines with this pad on his hip, and he's toughing it out. What do you think about this Matthew Stafford injury, and does it concern you at all?
I mean, there was definitely a part there when he fell down. That was when I was like, all right, man, you got to get out. Like, if that's an option, man, you got to get out of this game. Like, we can't be we can't be having that stuff. But there's also something about Matthew Stafford that like he's not going to take himself out of the game. And they were the only way he was going to get out is if they're dragging him off the field. So there was that moment there where he fell down, and I was kind of like, all right, man, we gotta like, all right, what are you doing over there, Brett? Let's get into this game, man. But then I don't know, man. Just the way that we've seen Matthew Stafford do this kind of stuff before, it was like I was telling all my friends out here that I was watching the game with, and it was like, you know what? I kind of want him out because I want to make sure that he's okay. It's only week 4, but I also kind of love this right now, man. It's like this is vintage Matthew Stafford right here. Like we're seeing some stuff that we'll probably talk about forever. Of like, and who knows what's going to happen? Like what reports kind of come out of what the actual injury is. Maybe when we hear that, it'll be more impressive what we did in that to end that game, you know. But as far as like long term concern, I don't know. Mainly because we just don't know what the injury is right now. But also we Rams fans and even Lions fans know that Matthew Stafford is one of the toughest players in the NFL, quarterback or not. He's one of the toughest players in the entire league. So if he can get out there physically, if he can drag himself out onto the football field, he will. And I think that should bring some comfort to Rams fans because I got to say that I think that we don't really know who Brett Rippon is in our offense. But I do feel confident saying that, like a 60% Matthew Stafford, I kind of still want him out there, man. Like, So, what do you think though? Are you worried about this hip injury?
So Matthew Stafford after the game did say he's playing next week. He's kind of like avoiding all the hoorah around his injury like he typically does. He doesn't like to pay attention to pain. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, 60% Stafford, I'll take him over Ripon all day. I did say that on my live stream yesterday watching the game. And they were showing Ripon warming up. I was like, no way. I'll take Stafford with a left arm over a healthy Brett Ripon. I just do not want to see him play for us. I think it's a huge downgrade from Stafford to Ripon. There's a big gap there, and I think that Stenson Bennett, there was even a little gap between him and Ripon, with Bennett being the better quarterback. Obviously, he's having personal issues that the Rams are keeping in house. I hope everything works out for Stenson Bennett, but this definitely makes us think like, as a fan base, do we need another quarterback, veteran quarterback behind Matthew Stafford ASAP, like a Carson Wentz? Because Baker Mayfield isn't coming. He's in Tampa Bay, and he's actually playing really well this season. So we need maybe a Carson Wentz in case something does happen to Stafford because he's not getting any younger. He's the oldest starting quarterback in football right now since Rodgers is out. So I hope this hip injury that he's downplaying really is a downplay. It was isolated to just this game. And we go into the Eagles game with a healthy Matthew Stafford, or at least close to it as possible.
Well, I'll comment on that backup quarterback spot real fast. The comment that you made there is going after kind of a veteran. I don't know if that's really the move, if I necessarily agree with that. If you're going into these last, however many weeks with Rippon as your QB2, then there's at least some level of confidence there. And if you do lose your starter and then you feel like you need to make a move at your backup spot immediately, then that guy shouldn't have been your backup, you know? So I think that there is some level of trust there with Rippon being QB2 right now. But if the Rams did make a move, then it'd be that at that point, just get rid of Rippon, man. Because if your QB1 goes out and right away QB2 is you're like you don't even trust him, then he shouldn't even be here. So I would say that if the Rams did make a move for some kind of quarterback, then that's super bad news for Rippon, man. He does not need to be even dressed up on the sideline if that's an option. So if at the same time though, I mean I don't see right now the need to make a move at the spot just because we are expecting Matthew Stafford to keep playing at least for now.
Yeah, hopefully we never have to be in a predicament where Matthew Stafford is not the quarterback because that really hurts
Yeah.
our playoff chances. And then, I do really feel once Cup is back, this offense is going to be hard to stop when you have Cup, Puka, Tutu. I mean, when you have Van Jefferson as your fourth wide receiver, that's a deadly wide receiver group. And then you have Higbee there, Kyron Williams, who seems like him and Stafford are finally starting to gel. Yesterday he had his 3 catches, but there
Hmm.
was no overthrows, no drops. So I really just hope everybody stays healthy from Stafford to the offensive line. And I do want to ask you about this offensive line. What do you think about how Dotson played yesterday, our newly acquired right guard?
Overall, this line's been playing really well this season, and I think that him coming in the situation that he's in, like obviously it wasn't a perfect game, but he was pretty damn good though. So my main concern was left tackle. I was pretty worried about it. We saw what No Boom did last year at that spot, so it was nice to see him kind of hold it down over there. And obviously Jackson, I think, is the better guy there. AJ Jackson is incredible left tackle. Him and Steve, they kind of just hold down that left side real nice. So obviously we're pumped to see him back. But Dotson, man, as far as like a backup rotational guy, I think he's doing more than you could ask for from a guy like that, especially considering what we saw last year, man, where we were signing guys on like a Tuesday and then they were starting on Sunday and they're just kind of getting eaten up out there. So I'll be honest, I was pretty pleased to see that Zach Thomas wasn't even active, man. He got eaten up on Monday Night Football against the Bengals, and it kind of can't put it all on him, man. Like that's such a bad situation to be in, and then we also didn't even help him. So it's like we're like, all right, 1-on-1 with Hendrickson over here. Good luck. And it's like, hold on a second, that's a bad. We don't need to do that right now. So I wasn't sad to see him inactive, but at the same time, I think that kind of my point on that quarterback, conversation that we had there is if Zach Thomas was your backup left tackle, then he had to come in, and the way that he performed, then the next week he's not even active. Dude, get him out of here, man. He has no business being here. We don't need him, and so yeah, let's use this roster spot wiser, and let's just go ahead and get him out of here. But Dotson played well. That's to answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, Dotson, I'm happy he played because we traded for the guy.
Mhm.
He obviously fit our scheme. He's obviously a really good run blocking guard. His PFF grade for run blocking yesterday was in the high 80s, which led everyone on our line.
Mhm.
Every time Kyron Williams had a big run, he was going behind him. He's a big guy. I did not. Oh, Rams house shouting out your shirt.
Gotta go with the
That is a
bone,
sick
man.
shirt. Yeah, bone.
Bone's good luck right now, right?
It is. I mean, the Rams' record when they wear bone jerseys is the highest win percentage of all jerseys, and they want to get rid of it. I'm not the biggest fan of the jersey, but if we're winning with it, let's just keep doing it.
That's my favorite. I love it so much.
Yeah, I do have I actually have a Robert Woods bone jersey. So
Nice.
obviously it's 17. So I was wearing it and I'm like, all right, Puka, somewhat,
Dude, I'm gonna take a
you know,
sidebar here on that exact conversation. So we were talking about it yesterday. All these people now, obviously, the massive influx of Puka jerseys are hitting people like Rams fans all over the place right now. But he wore number 12 in college, and I feel pretty confident saying that this is Van Jefferson's last year with us. Do you think he's gonna switch over to 12 next year?
ooh, I think that would be legit.
I think it
Um,
makes sense, man.
it
17,
does.
like that wasn't his number. He was 12 in college at BYU. So, and like I said, I do think if this is Van Jefferson's last year with us, it's not that I want that or that I'm rooting for that or anything like that, but I do think that is true. So we'll see, man. We'll see if everybody's all mad that they have a number 17 Nacua jerseys next year.
That's what does suck. I mean, Robert Woods too. I got his 17 jersey, and then the next
Yeah,
year he changed it to 2, which was his college
yeah,
USC jersey number. He'd literally be Cup.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Another
going from
guy.
the 18, man. Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I see a
just
lot of
crazy.
18 cups out there, but I like that though, because you see the 18 cup out there, then you feel like that's like it's like, oh, that's somebody who actually really likes cup. It's not somebody who just hopped on the Triple Crown season. So that's what I
True.
like. It.
True. Same with Ramsey, 20 to 5. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's switching numbers now, and we need to get some credits. But you know what? I'm personally like that too. I like to just have the OG colors numbers as well.
Yeah,
Like, oh, he had the
it's kind of
Ramsey
cool.
when he first had 20. Some people, the newer fans don't know, like he was 20.
Yeah,
And hey, shout out to Jalen Ramsey. I do miss him at times,
that guy's
especially
awesome.
watching DK out there getting burned sometimes.
That guy's
But
awesome, man.
yep. So speaking of DK, Kobe Durant, our secondary overall, Keller Witherspoon's been elite. What do you think about the Rams secondary this year, especially because a lot of critics had us ranked in the low 30s, like 30, 31, best secondary in football?
Yeah, man, it's one of those things where I kind of kept on harping on it on Ram Showcase Live and on the podcast as well that um, like inexperience doesn't inherently mean bad. So having a young secondary, I mean, people coming in saying that like we were gonna have a terrible secondary. It's like, well, this guy, like Darren Kendrick and Kobe Durant, they're only second year, so like whatever. Akello hasn't really done much, and it's like people kind of talk about Russ Yeast. It's like, well, who is this guy? It's like just because you don't know them or that they haven't been out there that much, I mean, doesn't inherently mean bad. These guys are young, they're energetic, they're excited, they're flying around out there, man, and that's been really fun to see. And I think that, I mean, without being in the locker room and having conversations with these guys, I feel like they kind of took that all that noise from the media and been like, all right, like we'll see, like, we'll see what this year looks like. Darian Kendrick, man, I was a big fan of him going into last year. I thought that he was going to be that guy above Kobe, but then obviously Kobe had such an awesome rookie season. It's not that Darian had a bad rookie season, but Kobe kind of just shined really bright last year. So we haven't heard his name a lot this year, but for a corner, that's what you want, man. Like you don't want to hear your offensive linemen's names, you don't want to hear your corners' names unless they're getting picks out there. So, but this secondary, man, being obviously led by Jordan Fuller and then John Johnson being such a good leader as well, I think they're just in a good spot, man. They're flying around out there. You kind of mentioned it, the Jalen Ramsey departure. I think that kind of made that secondary kind of just band together a little bit more. Like you didn't have that that guy to rely on and just be like, oh well, he's gonna do it, he's gonna cover, we'll be all right. So it's like everybody kind of had to have that mindset of like, no, it's on us now, so let's go out and make some plays. And I think that they've taken that and really run with it, man. So it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I will say a surprise for me when it comes to secondary is the fact that John Johnson, we got him in,
Hmm.
and then he's played about 2 or 3 snaps the whole season. It's like Russ Yeast has been surprising me every game. That guy can really tackle. His coverage has been really good. And another surprise is Akella Weatherspoon. I thought he would be a depth piece, maybe in time slowly transition out of the lineup for one of the younger guys, but he has our interception, the lone interception this year. He recovered that fumble yesterday, and then he got hurt, but he came back.
Hmm.
I mean, he's playing and he's physical. That Christian McCaffrey run down the sideline. He's the one that was
Hmm.
there tackling him, getting in his face. So I think he's doing something for these guys as well. He's staying healthy, which hasn't really happened in his career. And then you got Jordan Fuller, missed last year, so a lot of people kind of forgot about what he does. But he is
Hmm.
one of the smartest safeties in the league. He's not the fastest, the strongest, the toughest, but his IQ is so smart. He can read a zone. He can read when a man's getting beat, a cornerback, and go play that wide receiver, which is why we're not really giving up touchdowns. I think we've given up one prior to yesterday to wide receivers, which was DK Metcalf. And then yesterday, Pittman had a 2 point conversion and they threw a touchdown to their tight end.
Yeah, that was a little bit frustrating, that last touchdown and 2 point conversion, because
Super.
there was two. Because I'm a big Jordan Fuller guy. I think everybody kind of knows that. I like that he's a good player, but uh, there was some miscommunications there. I mean, we saw on the 2 point conversion that the corner and the safety, which was Witherspoon and Fuller over there, took the same guy, leaving Pittman wide open, which is unfortunate. And then on the touchdown play, also, I mean, it was kind of it seemed so obvious to me that that's what the play call was going to be, that they were going to hit the flat right there. And it was like, and just the fact that Fuller didn't get over to it, it surprised me a little bit, because it was like the way that the motion and everything kind of unfolded. It was like, oh, obviously that's where they're trying to clear this out right here, and then no one attacked it. So that was a little bit disappointing to see, man. But it's obviously they get paid too. It's like they're out here trying to win games as well. So it's not just Rams versus like a bunch of no names or anything like that. Like so, it was unfortunate to see those miscommunications yesterday. But at the same time, it's only week 4, man. Like that was a week 4 game, so that's going to be on film, and hopefully we don't see that anymore this year.
Yeah, and then the Mo Willie Mo Cox, Millie Mo Cox, whatever his name is, the tight end that seems to get like one catch every 2 or 3 games, but that catch is always a touchdown.
Yeah.
When I seen who was on coverage on him, I just got aggravated because Michael Hoyt is 310 pounds. He cannot be out there covering what he's covering Jamar Chase. He's covering Josh Downs yesterday, who's a speed demon. And then he's covering Mo Cox getting burned. Like,
And yeah, and
which is the
we saw him
worst guy on
against
our defense?
DK in week 1. Like I'll be honest, Michael Hoyt has no business being in coverage. I mean, he was a defensive lineman converted to an edge rusher. What part of that is like, hey, let's let this guy cover their best weapons? Like I feel like that's just Raheem kind of outsmarting himself there, thinking that like, oh, if he drops him out and somebody else comes in for the blitz or something like that, it's like, no, that's not what he can. He's not good at it, man. He's not fast enough to cover these guys. He's out here just getting embarrassed. Like every time I see him drop into coverage, I get a little angry about it. I think that's just it's bad calls by Raheem, and I'm liking Raheem a lot more this year than I have in previous years. I think that the way he's scheming it up, and with these young guys especially, I think he's doing a really good job this year. But that kind of stuff has got to stop, man. We can't see Hoyt in coverage like that.
Yeah, and if it continues to happen, it makes you think, who are we really going to go out and try to get for edge? Kyle Van Noy now is with the Ravens. It's like everyone keeps dropping. That is the weak spot of our defense, and teams, as the season progresses, will keep attacking it.
Mm-hmm.
It's already happening. Every time, I even noticed yesterday, Anthony Richardson noticed Michael Hoyt on Josh Downs. You could tell he audible. Josh Downs just does a quick drag route.
Mm-hmm.
Easy completion. All right, guys, 310 pounds covering my 180-pound receiver who runs like a 4.2. Good luck,
Yeah,
Brian Burns or Young for edge.
dude,
Hey, I've
that's
been on that for a while, man. I've been on that.
we've kind of been talking about that, me and Rams House, about how cool that would be, man. And
That'd be
obviously,
elite.
losing assets to get other assets, that's always something that it's unfortunate. You got to give something up for it, but I mean, either one of those guys, man, they make our defense a lot better really fast. So I mean, obviously for myself, if I had a choice, man, I'm going Chase Young there, man. I think him coming over to the Rams would be super exciting. Him and By on the outside, and you got Donald coming in the middle, man. Like that's a dangerous defense right there. And what do we got to give up? I'm not really sure. Do we go draft picks? Do we go somebody like Van Jefferson? Like, I don't know, man. But I think that adding to our defense would be very exciting. But at the same time, like, this defense playing well right now, man. Like, do we really need to? Like, I know that there's always ways that you can improve, but I mean, we're playing some good football right now, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. This defense, I didn't feed into the hype of people saying this is one of the worst defenses in football. I don't think that's possible with Aaron Donald.
Mm-hmm.
Even the drive where the Colts did score that first touchdown, Aaron Donald wasn't out there. We were
Mm-hmm.
giving him a breather. They score. When you have Donald, it's just very hard to have a bad defense. You're at least going to be a top 15 overall defense with him. And then Kobe Turner, a lot of people, I don't know how these rookies fell so far, like, or if it's just our system is a perfect fit. But we nailed this draft class, probably our best draft class in recent memory since we got Aaron Donald, because just that alone is great. But yeah, I mean, but edge is the one thing we do need. I personally would take Brian Burns, even though the asking price would probably be 2 first rounders, because that's what it was last year, and they said no. But maybe the Panthers see like, oh, we're 0-4. We really need other pieces to protect Bryce Young because
Yeah.
our offensive line is horrible. Get some running backs, some wide receiver help. Let's get as much picks as we can. Worry about the defense after. I don't know. And then Chase Young, who is finally back this year, he's looked phenomenal. Like First game he had a sack and a half, so and he's just a monster out there. And Rams House did bring up a good point. It's the injuries that concern you on him, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of
Um,
like I always understand the injury conversation, especially for it. Sometimes it happens more. It's like somebody like Cooper Cup. We've only seen one healthy season from Cooper Cup. It turned out that that was a Triple Crown Super Bowl MVP type, but it's only been the one. But I mean, I kind of point to it. Football's not only a contact sport; it is a violent sport. Injuries are just part of it, and sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's unfortunate. People get hurt a little bit more often than you're used to. Like if we point to like a Sam Bradford of like it just can't seem to stay out there. But no one's immune to injuries, man. None of these guys are robots. They're all just meat sacks like all of us, man. So like injuries happen, and right system, the right training staff. Like the Rams have a good one, and we kind of just seem to hit just a streak of bad luck last year. But you get into some other trainings and stuff like that, and who knows, man? It can be some positives for you too. So I don't really get into the whole injury thing though, because if people are out there, they're out there. But injuries happen. When they do, well, that's what your backups are for, man. And it's obviously a drop off. That's why they weren't playing in the first place. But hey, they got to go out there and make some plays, man. So if you can have a guy like Chase Young, who like if he's out there, obviously that's really good. If he goes down, well, then so I get the injury thing, but I can't make decisions based on that. If I was the one to choosing this stuff, it's like, is he a good player? Yes or no. That's all I care about, man, because everybody's prone to get hurt.
that's a good point. I mean, especially fantasy football, when you draft, you kind of just got to draft the best guy. You can't say, oh, he's been
Yeah.
hurt this amount of times. Take the best
Yeah.
guy. Either way, if we get either guy, I really like our odds to make a nice run in the playoffs and go from there.
I
So
feel like
let
we make a move soon, man. I don't know if it's going to be edge rusher or not, but there's the Rams sitting at 2-2, coming out of 4 weeks, 2-2, without having Cup yet, and really, I mean, have we seen our best football? I'm not really sure yet, man. Like we've seen, even in our wins, we've seen some things where it's like, okay, we clean that up. So I don't know, the way that this team operates and the mindsets that are in this front office, man. It makes me think that something's coming, and I don't really have like any inside knowledge or anything like that, but it does feel like something might happen soon as far as adding to our roster.
Yeah, and then Higbee's contract extension actually freed up cap for us for this season. I think like
Do you know
six.
how
Now
much
we're
it
at
freed up?
6.8. I think we're at 6.8 million now,
Yeah.
and we're
Because
at
we also have a
three.
bunch next year, and I don't know how his deal impacts next year's cap either. I haven't really looked into it yet, but that was my very first thought when hearing the Higby extension, because it felt almost random, right? Like we just got that information. It was like, oh, why did we do that right now going into week 4? You know what I mean? Like it just kind of felt weird. Um, I don't know. My very first thought was, what are we clearing up space for? Like, what are we trying to do here? And I believe we still have a roster spot open from the Akers move, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, exactly. And
And I
we
did
yeah,
do that. I did do
Joe
that.
predicted Von Miller to be traded to the Rams. Wow. So who are you predicting to be traded to the Rams then this year?
I don't think I have one right now, man, but it just feels like a move's on the way, man. And I'll say this too. I had the Pat McAfee show on while I was working earlier, and he kind of kept checking his phone, and Pat, obviously being who he is, he's asking, he's like, "Oh, what's going on? You got breaking news or whatever?" And he's like, "Well, not yet." And I don't know why, man. My brain went to like, "Oh, the Rams are cooking on something. All right, let's go." Like that was my very first thought. I was like, "Oh, Rams are about to make a move. All right." Like so we'll see, man. And I don't know if it's worth looking into or not, but I also did see some people posting that not only Sneed but also Cronky, everybody was at the Colts game yesterday, man. So Cronky at the Colts game, man. So I don't know, man. My brain is trying to tell me that Jonathan Taylor is about to be a Ram. It's not that I necessarily am overly hyped for that move. If I'm in the front office, I probably don't even really entertain it that much. But something tells me that that is something that the Rams are trying to do.
Yeah, I did drop a video on Taylor to the Rams, And then you go and see Kyron Williams get 100 rushing yards, and then Ronnie Rivers average over 5 yards per carry, and it makes you think like, maybe we don't need him, but it is week 4.
Hmm.
Jonathan Taylor is better than both running backs. I mean, clearly he is. Guys had over 2,000 total yards in a season. What was looking like an offensive player of the year season. Um, I mean, so it would be great to have Taylor, but I would prefer Brian Burns or Chase Young.
Yeah, insane. And that's kind of the conversation that I've been having with other people. Is it like it's not that if I were making the call, I'm going for an edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Rams do try to make a move for Jonathan Taylor, I'm not mad about that at all, man. That kid is insane. And could you imagine like the Rams being 2-2 right now coming out of week 4? Obviously, we got a pretty tough stretch. We got the Eagles coming up and stuff like that. And then I mean, we get Arizona, which is nice, stuff like that, then Pittsburgh. But like we get 3 home games right now. Could you imagine 2-2 right now with the way that this team's been playing? We bring back into our offense Cooper Kupp and add Jonathan Taylor into that, dude. Like that's exciting to me, man. Like it's our defense has been playing well, and yeah, I would rather have an edge rusher than Jonathan Taylor right now. But if we can keep on playing the way that we have been on defense, add Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp, who's stopping this team, man? I'm pumped about it.
Nobody. And to be honest, San Fran, we had him right where we wanted him. And I think a guy like Cooper Kupp being in that game, not to make excuses, but the way their secondary looked, we would have torched them. Cooper Kupp is Stafford is not throwing a lot of touchdowns right now, and a big part of that is because he's missing Cooper Kupp. That's his red zone guy. That's a guy he knows is going to be there. He's building trust with Puka more, and then Tutu is kind of undersized in the red zone, although he did have that nice touchdown versus the Bengals last week. But he got open. He was wide open. So um,
Well, then also think about the Bengals game. I mean, that one felt like we just beat ourselves. Like we just didn't even. It felt like the Rams didn't really try to win that game. You know what I mean? Even come down to the end of it, that like punting late and stuff like that. It was like, oh, we don't even. What are we doing out here, man? Because like I said that on the podcast. Like Sean McVay is such a good coach that sometimes he can outcoach himself. Even like just seemed like his game plan didn't really fit to what the Bengals are. Like it seemed like he just outsmarted himself. Even looking at this game yesterday with the Bengals, man, like they're just getting absolutely torched on the ground. And it was like, damn, why couldn't we have done that? It's like we could have, but we weren't even trying it. So yeah, this Rams team could like really does feel like it's a couple of plays away from actually being 4-0. And then I don't know, man. That's why I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling excited for the rest of this season. I think that this game against the Eagles is going to be very telling, and I'm really excited to see to kind of put this team against a Philadelphia Eagles team and kind of get a real good gauge on how talented we really are.
yeah. So to finish it up, let's talk about Brett Maher. So he is 12 of 16 on the season, which is 75%. Had some really bad misses yesterday. He was 3
Mhm.
for 5. Oddly enough, he was 2 for 2 from the 50 plus and then missed between the 40 and 49 yards. So what are your thoughts on Brett Maher?
Uh, Dude, he's having a rough little stretch right here. He's fine, but he's not great. Like we've been calling him barely Brett, and that's something that I did steal from some Cowboys fans that used to call him that. But uh, barely Brett because when he's making it, it feels like it's just barely getting there. Like he's just squeaking it in. But yeah, the misses that he had, man, it was like off the foot. Right away too that it's not going in, and that's not good, man. Like so I think the Rams special teams in general are not doing great. I'm not sure whether that's to blame it just being a young grouping right now. Obviously, Brett is not the young guy, but I don't know if it's just a young grouping or if maybe Blackburn is just not up for this job. If he just can't really handle being a special teams coach and maybe he just needs to do something else. Maybe linebacker coach, man. That's kind of where my brain went. But Maher, though, I think that it's not unrealistic to think that the Rams could and maybe should be in the market for a new kicker right now.
Yeah, it's just crazy. He missed his first 2 kicks of the year. One got blocked, and then one was like from 57, 58 yards against Seattle. And then he got on a hot streak. He did not miss a field goal until
Mhm.
yesterday. So it's like he seems like a guy that once he gets it's a mental thing with him. Last year with the Cowboys, it happened
Mhm.
in the playoffs. 4 extra points or 5 in a row he missed. So we don't need that. I mean, hey, surprisingly enough, maybe there was some voodoo yesterday. Matt Gay missed a field goal, and that's even more shocking.
Yeah,
And
that's weird, especially after his week 3, dude.
I know, killing the Ravens, he won the game on his foot. They only had one touchdown. Um,
But also think about, like, that's a dome. It was closed. It's like we can't be missing 2 like that, man. Like
I don't know.
that just can't happen. If you're in Chicago and you miss some stuff like that, it's like, all right, stuff happens. You're in Green Bay or something like that. But in a controlled environment, man, like that, it's like you just can't see it. And then they showed him the replays, and it looked like snap, hold, everything's good. It just looked like bad kicks, man. So that stuff can't happen.
Yeah. Well, Sheriff Joe, I want to say thank you again for doing this collab with me. I've been watching your stuff since before you were on the NFC Roundtable Network.
Nice.
So obviously, you always bring great Rams content. I have his YouTube, his Twitter X linked below. Also, here on the graphic, you can see below Ram Showcase, Sheriff Joe Bags on Twitter X. Make sure to like, subscribe to his YouTube. We're building the Rams community more and more.
Absolutely, man. This is
I love
fun,
it.
dude.
It
Getting all these
is.
Rams creators and stuff, man. You got to
Yep.
get yeah, we got to try to see if we can get some more of us on here, man. That'd be
I
fun.
know. Payo, Rams House, me, you. I seen
Absolutely.
them. Us four.
Totally.
That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Sheriff, again, thank you. Any last words?
Are you threatening me? That's good. No, man. I'm pumped about the rest of this season. This team is young. It's energetic. It's fiery, man. It's some good stuff right now, man. It's fun. It's fun times to be a Rams fan. We knew that we were going to have to eat a season or two, and fingers are crossed that it was just the one, man. So we got this going, man. We get Cooper Cup coming back, man. We might get a trade. We'll see what happens coming up this week or maybe next week, something like that. So, thanks so much, man, for chatting Rams with me. I got my stream coming on, man, here shortly, man. Feel free to hop on with me there as well. So we do Rams Showcase live every Monday, and yeah, about to get that rolling here soon.
All right. Sounds good, Joe. Everyone else, Rams fans, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones. Go Rams. Let's do it.